I will promise you a villa in Dubai just to make you forget that the electricity in this house is about to be cut off. I am an expert at future faking, a psychological Ponzi scheme where I steal your today by selling you a tomorrow that is never coming. If you do not learn to judge me by the mud we are standing in right now, you will drown in my promises. I can see the pulse in her neck, that frantic, rhythmic little beat that tells me I have her right where I want her, pushed to the very edge of her emotional tether, vibrating with a tension I created. She thinks this is a conversation about money. She thinks this is about a utility company sending a shutoff notice, or the logistics of keeping the lights on in a house that has felt cold and hollow for months. She is so small-minded, focusing on the dirt beneath her fingernails and the mundane, suffocating stress of daily survival, while I am pointing at the stars, trying to show her a destiny she is too terrified to claim on her own. I look at her, and I do not feel guilt. I do not feel the weight of the unpaid bill, or the looming threat of the cold air that will soon fill this room when the power do, and the silence becomes absolute. Instead, I feel an intense, buzzing irritation. It is the same feeling you get when a fly will not stop hitting a window pane, a mindless, repetitive buzzing sound that disrupts my internal peace and the grand, soaring thoughts I prefer to entertain. I did not answer her at first. I let the silence stretch, filling the room like a rising tide of ice water, until it feels heavy enough to crush her spirit, until she starts to wonder if she is the one being unreasonable for bringing up something as trivial as a bill. I watch her resolve begin to crumble under the weight of that quiet, her shoulders dropping just an inch as she begins to doubt her own right to be angry or even to speak. Then I smile. Not a mean smile, but a sad paternal one, as if I am deeply disappointed that she has such little faith in the man she claims to love and support. I tell her that I was up all night talking to my contact in Dubai, a man who moves millions with a single phone call, while she worries about pennies and paper slips. I tell her that the paperwork for the villa is being finalized, that the lawyers in 3 different time zones are just crossing the last of the T's on a deal that will change our lives and our bloodline forever. I ask her, how can you stand there and cry about a $100 bill when I am literally building a kingdom for us? I paint the picture of the white sand that feels like powdered sugar between your toes, the marble floors that stay cool under your feet even in the midday desert heat, and the life where she never has to touch a dish or a vacuum cleaner again. I describe the scent of the ocean air, the taste of the vintage wine we will drink on the terrace, and the way the sun will feel on her skin in a place where bills do not exist, and where we are finally given the respect we deserve. I watch the anger leave her eyes. It happens every time, a predictable chemical reaction. It is like watching a balloon slowly leak air until it is just a flat, empty piece of rubber. She wants that dream so badly, she is so starved for a win in a life that feels like a losing streak, that she is willing to forget the dark, unpaid house we are sitting in right now. She starts to apologize to me for being short-sighted, for stressing me out with her little problems, while I am supposedly doing so much for our future. I call this the Future Fund. I am an expert at writing checks on accounts that do not exist, and people like her are professional debt collectors who never actually come to collect because they are too busy dreaming of the payoff that is always just 1 more month away. This is the art of future faking. It is my favorite tool because it is so efficient. It buys me months, sometimes years, of her absolute compliance, her silence, and her service. Why should I do the dishes, or hold a job I hate, or be faithful in the way she defines it, when I can simply promise her a version of tomorrow that is so bright she has to squint just to look at it? I see her desires. She wants security. She wants to be seen as the wife of a powerful man, and I simply mirror them back with a high-definition clarity that feels more real than the room we are in. I am not lying. I am providing a service of hope to someone who has none. And in exchange for that hope, I get to do whatever I want today, without consequence. It is a psychological Ponzi scheme. I take her emotional investment today to pay off the interest on the lies I told yesterday. As long as I keep the dream big enough, she will never notice that the floor beneath her is rotting and the walls are closing in. I tell her we will name our children after the stars and that our business will span continents, reaching into markets she cannot even pronounce. It costs me nothing but breath and a bit of theater to say these things, but it costs her everything to believe them. Every time she questions the present reality, I double down on the future fantasy, making it more detailed and more vivid until the present feels like a lie. I describe the thread count of the Egyptian cotton sheets in our imaginary bedroom and the sound of the household staff calling her mistress as she walks through the halls. By the time I am done, she is thanking me for a life that does not exist while ignoring the fact that the refrigerator is empty and the lights are flickering. But sometimes, hope is not enough to keep the engine running through the dry spells. Sometimes I need a partner who does not just believe the dream, but who disappears into it entirely until they have no shape, no shadow, and no will of their own. That is where someone like Sarah came in. She was what the professionals call an inverted narcissist, a human shadow that only takes form when a brilliant, blinding light is shined upon it. She did not have a personality of her own. She was just a high-polished mirror for mine, reflecting my every whim and every mood. She did not want a partner. She wanted a master to tell her who she was, what she should feel, and how she should perceive the world around her. She found my arrogance technicolor and intoxicating, while the rest of the world felt monochrome, dull, and painfully average to her. She lived for the moments I would acknowledge her service, those rare, calculated scraps of affection I tossed her way like a bone to a starving dog. She would actually go out and find people to admire me, acting as a tireless, unpaid scout for my ego. She would set up dinners with influential people, finding admirers for my intellect and my charm with everyone we met, just so she could sit at the end of the table and bask in the reflected glow of what I was. She took pride in how much of my verbal pressure she could endure, as if her tolerance for my moods and my insults was a spiritual discipline or a badge of elite membership in an exclusive club. She thought her endurance was a sign of her strength, her unique ability to handle a great man that no one else in the world could understand or satisfy. She wore her status as a sufferer like a medal of valor, bragging to her friends about how difficult and complex I was, as if managing my chaotic moods was a high-level career or a religious calling that only she was chosen for by fate. She would apologize for things I did, taking the blame for my public outbursts and my private failures, just to keep the peace and protect the fragile image of my perfection. She would fetch me drinks and tell me how the world just did not understand my genius, how the people around us were all too small and too petty to see the vision I had for the world. She made me feel like a god in a world of boring mortals. She would even bring other people into my circle, people she knew I could exploit for money or impress for status, just so I had fresh sets of eyes to admire me and fresh ears to hear my stories. She derived her entire sense of self from my reflection. If the mirror was empty, she ceased to exist. If I was happy, she was ecstatic. If I was cold and distant, she was freezing in the dark, desperate to do anything to bring the warmth back. She was the perfect servant because she believed that my greatness was hers by proxy, and that by serving the king, she became a queen. She would spend hours researching my interests just so she could agree with me more effectively and anticipate my every thought before I even had it. She became the ultimate accessory, a human being shaped and molded into the exact form I required at any given moment, sacrificing her own needs, her own family, and her own sanity on the altar of my convenience. But even gods can fall, and the higher the pedestal I build, the harder the impact when the ground of reality finally gives way. It happened at the gallery opening, a night where I was supposed to be the undisputed center of the universe, surrounded by art I claimed to understand better than the artists themselves. I was holding court, explaining the nuances of the collection with a practiced air of intellectual superiority, using big words to hide small ideas, when the owner, a man with half my talent but twice my net worth and 10 times my actual knowledge, interrupted me. He corrected me. In front of everyone. In front of the very people I had spent all night trying to impress and manipulate. He pointed out a basic, undeniable factual error I had made about the artist's period, and he did it with a polite, devastating smile that told me he knew exactly what I was: a fraud, a pretender, a hollow man. The room went silent. I could hear the hum of the air conditioner and the clinking of a glass across the room like it was a thunderclap in a canyon. I could feel the heat rising from my chest to my ears, a burning, stinging shame that felt like acid being poured on my skin. It was not just an insult, it was an internal nuclear explosion that leveled my city of cards. This is narcissistic mortification. It is the moment the mask does not just crack, it shatters into 1,000 jagged pieces, and the vacuum of the void underneath tries to swallow everything in sight. My skin felt too tight, as if I was being strangled by my own body, trapped in a costume that had become a noose. I felt like I was disappearing, like I was becoming invisible and insignificant right there on the polished gallery floor. I could not breathe. I looked at Sarah, looking for that familiar, reassuring reflection of my own perfection to save me from the abyss, and I saw it in her eyes. Pity. She felt sorry for me. She reached out a hand to comfort me, to pat my arm in front of the crowd as if I were a wounded child, and it felt like she was sticking a knife in my ribs and twisting it until I felt the end. That pity was a terminal sentence for our relationship. In that moment, she was not my mirror anymore. She was a witness to my shame, a record of the moment I was small. She was the person who saw the God and realized he was just a man with a fragile ego and a loud mouth. And a witness to my weakness cannot be allowed to exist in my world. I did not yell. I did not scream. I became a zombie, a cold, empty shell walking through a waking dream of my own destruction. I walked out of that gallery without a word, leaving the guests and the art behind, got into the car, and I did not say a syllable for 3 days. I sat in the dark, staring at the wall with unblinking eyes, while she hovered nearby, crying and apologizing for things she had not even done, begging for a sign of life, a sign that she still existed to me. I was erasing her. I was rewriting the history of our entire relationship in my head so that she was the villain, the one who secretly sabotaged me, the one who never belonged in my kingdom to begin with. I convinced myself she had whispered to the owner to embarrass me, that she had set the whole thing up to take me down a peg because she was secretly jealous of my light. By the time I finally spoke, it was only to tell her to leave and never return. I discarded her like a piece of trash, like a broken tool that no longer served its purpose, because looking at her reminded me of the moment I felt small and powerless. I deleted her number, blocked her family, and acted as if she had never been born, scrubbed her from the record of my life so I could breathe again without the scent of my own failure. I needed to move on to a new audience who had not seen the mask slip, someone who still believed in the myth I sold. I thought I won. I always think I win because the alternative is a passing I cannot face. I am sitting here now, in a new apartment with a new girl who has no idea what happened at that gallery, telling her about the business we are going to start in London, the one that will finally put my name on the global map where it has always belonged. She is leaning in, her eyes wide with that familiar hunger for a better life, totally hooked on the buy now, pay never scheme. I am telling her about the private jets, the high society galas, and the people who will bow to us in the streets when we arrive. I feel powerful again. I feel in control. But here is the secret I will never tell them, the one I bury under layers of noise, substances, and bravado. Here is the thing that keeps me awake when the room is dark and the lies go quiet and the silence is too loud to ignore, sounding like the ticking of a clock I cannot stop. I am terrified of a person who looks at my grand promises and says, "Show me your bank statement." I am terrified of the person who does not care about the villa in Italy because they noticed I did not bring home the milk I promised. I am terrified of the person who sees my internal collapse and does not try to soothe me, but simply walks away and never looks back. Because if you do not believe in my future, I have no power in your present. If you stop feeding my ego, I waste away until I am nothing but dust. If you refuse to be my mirror, I stop existing in the way that matters to me. I am a ghost that requires your undivided attention just to stay visible to myself. Without your belief, I am nothing but a middle-aged man in a dark room with unpaid bills, a hollow heart, and a mountain of lies I can no longer climb. If you want to survive a person like me, you have to stop being a believer and start being a skeptic of the highest order. You have to become a clinical observer, a scientist watching a dangerous specimen under a glass, detached, analytical, and cold. First, you must address the future faking with brutal, unyielding honesty. You have to stop writing checks on funds that have not cleared. If I am promising you a global empire, but I cannot manage to be respectful to them, waiter tonight, you must ignore my words entirely. Words are cheap. They are just vibrations in the air meant to distract you from the truth of my actions. Do not look at the horizon I am pointing to with such passion. Look at the mud we are standing in right now. If today's version of the relationship is miserable, if you are crying in the bathroom while I tell you how happy we will be in 5 years, no amount of tomorrow will fix it. Tomorrow is a lie I used to steal from you today. Micro-test me. Watch the small things, the tiny cracks in the facade where the light of reality leaks through. If I say I will call at 5 o'clock and I do not, or if I say I will help with the cleaning and I disappear when the work starts, do not believe me when I say I will take care of you in retirement. My reliability in the seconds is a map of my reliability in the decades. A person who cannot keep a promise about a grocery list will never keep a promise about a life, a legacy, or a heart. Second, if you find yourself in the role of the inverted narcissist, you have to recognize your addiction to the drama and the rush of the rescue. You are not in love. You are hooked on the adrenaline of the chaos, the high of the reconciliation after the low of the. You have been trained to think that stability is boring and that peace is a lack of passion. You must rebuild your autonomy brick by brick, starting today. Build a bank account I cannot touch, a secret fund for your own freedom. Build a circle of friends I have not poisoned with my lies. Reclaim your hobbies, your time, and your voice. You have to realize that I do not love you. I love the function you perform for me. You are a utility to me, like a toaster or a car or a lamp. When you stop working, when you stop reflecting on what I want to see, I will replace you without a second thought. I do not see your soul. I see your usefulness to my agenda. Finally, understand the danger of narcissistic mortification. When my false self collapses, I am at my most volatile and dangerous. I am like a wounded animal that will anything that gets too close, even the hand that tries to feed it. If you see me in that zombie state, disjointed and paranoid, do not try to comfort me. Your kindness feels like superiority to me, a reminder that I am weak and you are strong, and it will trigger a rage you cannot imagine. The only clinical advice is physical distance. Move, leave, go no contact. Do not explain yourself, because I will just use your explanation to start a new argument or find a new way to make you feel guilty for abandoning me in my time of need. I will try to pull you back in with another promise, another dream, another someday. I will tell you that I have changed, that I have finally gone to therapy, and that the villa is finally ready for us to move in. I will use every secret you ever told me, every vulnerability you shared in the dark, to win you back and pull you into the cycle one more time. But someday, it will be a country that does not exist on any map. It is a desert mirage designed to keep you walking until you collapse from exhaustion and your spirit is broken. The only reality is what I am doing to you right now. And right now, I am taking everything you have while giving you nothing but a handful of smoke. I know how hard it is to look at someone you love and accept that the person you are seeing is a character in a play I wrote just for you. It feels like your own world to admit the lie. But listen to me as a friend who wants you to stay safe. Your dreams are too valuable to be held hostage by someone who uses them as a leash. You have the strength to build your own villa, your own security, and your own peace without waiting for a ghost to hand you the keys. You do not need my permission to be happy, and you certainly do not need my vision to see your own worth. If this insight helped you see through the fog today, please consider subscribing and liking this video so we can keep deconstructing these tactics together. You are not alone in this, and you are not crazy for wanting the things I promised you. You are just looking for them in a person who is a hollow shell, a vacuum that will only take and never give. You deserve to get those things from someone who is actually capable of giving them. Or better yet, you deserve to give them to yourself through your own hard work and boundaries. Keep your feet on the ground, keep your eyes on the present, and remember that your sanity is worth more than any fantasy I could ever sell you. Do not let the promise of a golden tomorrow keep you trapped in a leaden today. I will be here to walk through the next one with you, to help you spot the red flags before they become your entire world. Stay sharp, stay autonomous, and never let anyone make you believe that their chaos is your responsibility to fix. You are the architect of your own life, and it is time to stop letting the squatter tell you how to build your home. Take a deep breath, look around at the absolute truth of your life, and know that you have the power to walk out of the dark and into the real light of freedom. You have got this, and I am proud of you for even listening to this today. If this story felt a little too familiar, it is time to stop playing the role I've written for you. You deserve a life built on reality, not a handful of smoke. If you found value in this deconstruction, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps us reach more people who are currently trapped in the fog, helping them find their way back to the light of autonomy. Stay sharp, keep your feet on the ground, and remember, you are the architect of your own future. I will see you in the next deep dive.